Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Savita Sharma from University of Delhi and today we are going to discuss about the module The Sun Basic Data from the paper Astronomy and Astrophysics. After studying this module, you should be able to explain the study of the sun is important for stellar astrophysics. You should be able to describe the various ways by which the distance of the sun has been determined. After studying this module, you will be able to define angular diameter and explain how it can be determined. You will be able to explain how matter is exchanged between the two components of the binary system. You will understand how Kepler's third law leads to the determination of solar mass. You will be able to define luminosity of the sun. You will be able to define solar constant and explain how it can be measured with pyroheliometer. After studying this module, you will appreciate that solar constant varies over short as well as long time scales. In the end, you will be able to discuss the effect of variation of solar constant on the weather and climate of the earth. Now, before going into the details, let us have a short introduction. We have learned so far how to determine mass, radius, luminosity, and surface temperature of stars. So now it is time to study the various phenomena that could place in stars. The sun is a star so near us that we can study it in detail and can say with some confidence that these phenomena must be taking place in other stars too. This is because the sun is a run-of-the-mill star among approximately equal to 10 to the power 11 stars in our Milky Way galaxy and represents well the stars on the main sequence. The sun is an average star, not too big, not too small, not too faint, not very bright, not very hot, not very cool. The mass of the sun is not too small or not too large. Let's recall that the range of masses of the stars on the main sequence is 0.1 to 100. It is also a middle-aged star, about 5 years old and roughly the same time yet to live before it exhausts its source of energy and becomes bloated and devouring Mercury, Venus, and the Earth on its way to becoming a white dwarf star. There was a time after the geocentric theory of the universe had been dethroned. The theory was the sun was thought to be the center of the universe, the so-called the heliocentric universe. Now, of course, we know that the sun does not have this preeminent position. It does not even lie at the center of the Milky Way galaxy. It is located somewhere towards the edge of the galaxy. We all know that the sun is the source of almost all the energy we need on the earth and is therefore responsible for sustaining life on this planet. The heat budget, due to the radiation it sends towards us, is responsible for seasons, weather, and long-term climate on the earth. It has a region around it called the habitable zone where the conditions are conducive for the development of life. The earth lies in this zone, so we have a life on our earth. This circumstance may have contributed to the origin of life on the earth. Position of the sun in the galaxy. At one time, it was thought that the sun is at the center of the universe. Now, it is now known to be located towards the edge of the galaxy, about 8.5 kpc from the center of the galaxy. Sun's distance from the Earth using transits of Venus. As we can see in the figure, observe a point on the solar disk from two observatories on the Earth. Note the respective times at which Venus cuts the line of sight of the observers. The time interval between the two interruption of the line of sight is noted. Knowledge of the speed of Venus then allows us to calculate the distance v1 and v2. The ratio of the distances AB and v1 v2 is the ratio of Sun's distance and Venus distance. The distance of Venus is found by noting the parallax angle theta. In this way, the distance of the Sun can be determined. The given figure, which shows how the transit of Venus across the Sun's surface can be used to measure the distance of the Sun from the Earth. It also shows the various contacts when a planet passes in front of the Sun. In the given figure, two observers on the Earth are located at A and B. Observe a point on the surface of the Sun, let's say at point C. Usually, astronomers observe what is known as the first contact of Venus with the solar disk. The planet Venus cuts through the line of sight of the observer A at a certain instant. After some time, Venus cuts through the line of sight of the observer B. So, knowing the orbital speed of Venus and the time interval between the occurrence of V1 and V2, distance V1, V2 can be calculated. Now, simple geometry gives the ratio of distances of the Sun and Venus from the Earth. The distance of Venus can be measured by noting the angle theta, that is the parallax of Venus, and in this way, distance between the Earth and Sun can be measured. In the 18th century, Lalande measured the distance, which was only 2% of the distance measured today. Since 1961, it has become possible to measure the distance to Venus quite accurately by laser ranging, that is, by sending a laser beam, getting it reflected from Venus, and measuring the time taken by the beam for its total journey. In the given figure, you can see the measuring angle theta, the maximum angle that Venus makes with the Sun, and the distance between the Earth and Venus, which enables us to calculate the distance between the Earth and Sun. From the orbits of the Venus and Earth round the Sun, we can see that Venus do not depart from the Sun by more than angle theta approximate equal to 47 degrees. When it is ahead of the Sun, it rises earlier than the Sun which we called as morning star. When it follows the sun, it rises after sunset and it is called as a evening star. The given figure shows the deviation of Venus is never more than angle theta equals to 47 degree. The knowledge of this angle and the distance between Venus and Earth gives the distance between the sun and the Earth. As we can see in the figure, in the triangle formed by the sun, Earth and Venus, angle theta is measured by observation. Distance between Venus and Earth is found by laser ranging. So it is now easy to calculate the distance between the sun and Earth. The distance between the Earth and sun has been a special name which is called as astronomical unit, or in short form we can write it as AU. This unit is used for expressing distances within the solar system. The latest value of astronomical unit is 149597870,700 meters or 1.5 into 10 to the power 11 meters. The topic is angular diameter of the sun. The simplest way to find the angular diameter of the sun is to place a circular disc in front of it so that it just covers the sun. The figure shown here is showing a circular disc which is just covering the sun. The diameter of the disc divided by its distance from the eye gives the angular diameter of the sun. The diameter of the disc, that is the diameter of the disc which we can see in the figure, divided by its distance from the eye gives the angular diameter of the sun. The change in sun's angular diameter. The given figure shown here shows the distance of the Earth at perihelion, which is slightly less than the distance at aphelion because the eccentricity of the orbit is very small, that is approximately equal to 0.017. The orbit of the sun round the sun is elliptical, that is the orbit of the Earth round the sun is elliptic with an eccentricity of only 0.017. Therefore, it is close to circular. There is only a small difference in the distance at perihelion and aphelion. So when the Earth is at perihelion, its angular diameter is higher than when it is at aphelion. The maximum angular diameter is 32.6 degrees and the minimum is 31.4 degrees. Since the motion of the Earth in its elliptical orbit is cyclic, the variation in angular diameter is also cyclic between these two values. The figure given here shows the cyclic change in the angular diameter of the sun from perihelion to aphelion, that is from 32.6 degrees to 31.4 degrees. Since the orbiting motion of the Earth round the sun is cyclic, the change in the angular diameter is also cyclic. Having found the angular diameter, the diameter of the sun can be easily found. It is just the product of angular diameter and the distance between the sun and the Earth. Thus, the radius of the sun is given by 1/2 multiplied by angular diameter multiplied by astronomical unit, which works out to be a mean near equatorial value of 6.95508 into 10 raised to the power 8 meters. The generally used value of the solar radius is r equals to 7 into 10 raised to the power 8 meters. Solar constant. Solar constant is defined as the energy falling per second on a square meter of surface when placed normal to the sun rays outside the Earth's atmosphere. It is denoted by capital S. Its value is 1366 W m minus 2 or watts per meter square. Now imagine a sphere of radius equal to Sun-Earth distance with Sun as center. The energy of the Sun falling on a square meter of the surface of the sphere every second is capital S. On the complete surface of the sphere, the energy falling is 4 pi r square into S. This is also the total energy radiated by the Sun in 1 second. Along with that, we can define or we can see how can we calculate the mass and luminosity of the Sun. Once the distance of the Sun has been found, it is very easy to calculate the mass of the Sun using third law of Kepler. Since the mass of the Earth is very small in comparison with the mass of the Sun, it is sufficient to use the third law of Kepler. And by using this equation, the mass of the Sun, which is calculated, turns out to be 1.989 into 10 raised to the power 30 kilogram. Luminosity of the Sun or the luminosity of a star is defined as the total radiation emitted by it in 1 second. A simple method is to imagine a sphere, as we can see in the given figure, is to imagine a sphere of radius equals to the Sun-Earth distance, and let's multiply it by the energy received by the square meter per second by the surface of this sphere. As we can see in the figure, every square meter of the surface of the sphere with radius equal to 1 astronomical unit receives 1366 watts of energy every second, which is the so-called solar constant. So this energy received by a square meter of surface outside the Earth's atmosphere oriented normal to the solar rays per second is a constant quantity known as solar constant. Pyroheliometer. Pyroheliometer is used to measure the solar constant. It consists of two identical blackened plates S1 and S2. One of the plates is screened. When sun rays fall on S1, it gets heated and the galvanometer in the thermocouple shows deflection. Now, electrical energy is passed through S2 so that the deflection in the galvanometer is brought to zero. This means that S2 is heated as much as S1. The electrical energy supplied to S2 equals the solar constant. So the given figure here shows an arrangement called pyroheliometer for measuring the solar constant. S1 and S2 shown in the figure are two identical screens which have been blackened. One of them is covered to insulate it from solar rays. Then these are connected by a thermocouple. When screens are exposed to solar rays, S1 gets heated and galvanometer needle shows deflection. Now S2 is heated by passing electric current through it till the galvanometer shows zero deflection again. The energy supplied to S2 measures the solar constant. Variations in solar constant. There are small variations in solar constant. These variations are of interest in connection with their influence on the weather and climate on the earth. Data on variation is regularly collected by the World Radiation Center and extensively analyzed. The figure given here shows the sporadic as well as quasi-periodic variations in the value of the solar constant. Notice that the variation is around the value 1366 m per meter square. The source for this figure is the World Radiation Center, and it shows the sporadic and quasi-periodic variations in the value of the solar constant for the years from 1980 to 2015. These variations are sporadic as well as quasi-periodic, with period equal to 11 years. The period associated with sunspot numbers. The variation from maximum to minimum is 0.1%, which is too small to influence weather and climate on the earth. The UV component varies much greater than the visible component, and it may affect weather and climate in some subtle way. So the figure given here shows the variations of solar constant due to solar activity, which the figure given here shows clearly that the solar constant varies in response to the level of solar activity. It is maximum when the 11-year solar cycle is at its maximum. That is, one index of this activity is the number of sunspots on the solar surface, and it is minimum when the solar cycle is at its minimum. That is, very few sunspots on the solar surface. The solar constant increases as the number of sunspots on the solar surface. It has highest value when the number of sunspots is maximum, and it has minimum value when the number of sunspot is minimum. The reason is the appearance of large number of bright facule or filaments along with the sunspots. These make the solar surface bright as seen in the photograph given here. When sunspots are at their minimum, absence of bright filaments make the surface less bright, as we can see in the given figure. This given figure or image is the photographs of the sun at minimum, which is the left side, and the maximum, which is at the right side activity. At sunspot maximum, the presence of bright facule makes the sun brighter than at minimum. It is interesting that when the solar surface is dotted with the maximum number of sunspots, total solar irradiance or the solar constant is maximum. At the sunspot maximum phase, much larger area of the solar surface is covered by bright facule, making the sun slightly brighter than when the sunspot number is minimum. The total variation in solar constant over one solar cycle is only 0.1%, believed to be insufficient to make any impact on the Earth's weather and climate. However, within this increase, ultraviolet radiation increases much more than the visible radiation, and this may impact the Earth in yet unknown subtle ways. No such effect has been confirmed so far because physical models for such effects are yet not fully developed. It is important to remember that the luminosity of the sun has remained constant since almost the time of its birth. So, students, let us summarize what we have learned in this module. First of all, we have seen that the sun is the star nearest to us. It is a main sequence star. Secondly, the sun is an ordinary star, not too big, not too small, neither too hot and not too cool. Thirdly, we can observe sun's disk in great detail, and whatever we learn from these observations and their theoretical explanation can apply to similar main sequence stars. In a way, the sun acts as a laboratory for us. The basic data for any study of the sun is its distance from the earth, its size, its mass, luminosity, and surface temperature. So these are the 5 basic data we required. In 17th century, it was possible to build a scale model of the solar system using Kepler's third law. Just one distance, say of one planet from the Sun or from another planet could give all the distances in the solar system, including the distance of the Sun from the Earth. Observations of the transit of Venus in front of Sun were used to determine its distance from the Earth. Currently, the distance of Venus from the Earth can be determined accurately by sending a laser beam and computing its time of journey to the planet and back. This, coupled with the observed maximum divergence of Venus from the Sun, gives the distance between the Sun and the Earth. The distance of the Sun from the Earth is called astronomical unit, denoted generally by capital A and capital U, AU. It is a useful unit of distance within the solar system. The size of the Sun is determined by the product of its angular diameter with 1 AU. Luminosity of the Sun can be calculated using solar constant. Solar constant is the energy per unit area per unit time on a surface placed normal to sun rays, with the surface area of a sphere of radius 1 AU. The solar constant varies in value sporadically and in sympathy with the solar cycle. Thank you.